Women have a monopoly on childbirth, and all monopolies have a tendency towards corruption. In society today, men have no reproductive rights. They have no choice in whether and when they become fathers. When a man sticks his penis in a woman, he's putting his life in her hands, because he has no control over his capacity to enable a woman to become pregnant. Of course a man can use condoms, but condoms are not a fertility control device. When they work, they're only a barrier device. This is a crucial difference. Do you think that condoms should be free in the same way as the oral contraceptive is free?
Yes, I do. I think we have a problem in this country, especially here in Haringey, with teenage pregnancies, with sexually transmitted diseases. And I think anything we can do which will promote sexual health, and I think condoms do, they're a very effective barrier mechanism. If the pill is free, I think it's illogical to say to people, you have to pay for condoms.
Why is it that society refuses to acknowledge that unless a man explicitly agrees to be a father before conception, he's been hijacked?
Short-term relationships, when they're going primarily just for copulations, they tend to have very low thresholds and they're not particularly choosy about who they sleep with. When it comes to more long-term relationships, when they are looking for a partner to invest in or in whose children they're going to invest in, then they tend to be more picky and they go for cues of youth and fertility and also fidelity. A short-term relationship for a man is sort of an end in itself, as it were.
Have you ever had sex with a woman with the intention of trying for a baby?
No, I haven't.
So every time you've had sex up to the current time, you've not intended to have a baby, it's been for some other purpose?
Yeah, I think pleasure is usually the number one purpose.
And have you ever had sex with a woman who wanted a baby with you, but you didn't?
No, or at least not that I'm aware of.
Now you men out there, of all the times you've had sex, and with all the girls, how many of those times were you trying for a baby? And looking back at some of the women, could you even imagine having children with some of them? The girl with the great tits, but a face for radio. The girl who thought Japan was the capital of China.
Where does roast beef come from? Arby's?
The one who turned out to have a hardcore personality disorder. The one you simply didn't want to be with for more than one night. You know the ones I mean. You'd rather chew off your own arm than have her be the mother of your children. Yet many men get caught in just this situation. The woman decides his fate. The woman decides if he'll be a father or not. Men also have no choice in respect of abortions. If a woman decides that an abortion is best for her, she has an abortion.
It was strange because she asked me, are you okay with this? You're fine with having an abortion? And I said, well, why not? Why don't we have it? You know, we're in a stable relationship. I wouldn't mind. I'd quite like to have a child now. And the panic that spread across her face made me realise that she had no intention of asking my opinion at all. All she wanted was for her choice to be backed up by me, so that she could say, yeah, we could. You know, she could have somebody that who could share the guilt, if you like.
A man's opinion, hopes and dreams are all irrelevant. And this, in a male-dominated society. The simplest description of this situation is slavery. It's slavery because it's no accident that men don't have control of their fertility, as women have had since 1960. Men need to start seeing pregnancy, and particularly childbirth, the way it really is. A man doesn't make a woman pregnant, any more than a man can make a bank give him a loan. Rather, a woman allows herself to become pregnant. Despite how pregnancy is often described.
I fell pregnant. That's when he ended it.
Because you were pregnant?
Because I wanted to keep the child.
Well, Leo, you can't just get the woman pregnant and then pretend like nothing happened.
I'm not, okay?
Ever since you shagged my best friend and got her up the duff.
And he got his girlfriend pregnant, so he's about to become a daddy. It happens.
A woman doesn't get knocked up, and she doesn't fall pregnant. She doesn't trip, fall and land on a man's dick. She engineers it to be there.
Her pregnancy is her decision as well. Women in the West now have 100% control over their pregnancies. They are able to prevent pregnancy from happening. They can do things before intercourse, during intercourse, after intercourse. They can have abortions. And as such, they should bear 100% responsibility for the children. At least if they have decided to go ahead without the agreement and wishes of the man involved in the conception.
A man can never make a woman have a child if she doesn't want one. However, she can force a child on a man.
I'm pregnant, and you're the father.
This is a very important point because it changes how we view the child-making process, and it changes responsibility. A woman has many options with respect to pregnancy and childbirth. A man very few. The options a woman has makes her utterly and completely responsible for every child that's born. And because a woman is 100% in control of her own fertility, that makes her 100% responsible for her pregnancy. It's a simple maxim. With complete control comes complete responsibility. Most men have some difficulty with this concept, and understandably so.
Do you think that if you have sex with a woman and she becomes pregnant, that you're both equally responsible?
Yes. Yeah, well, it takes two to tango, man, doesn't it?
We're both responsible.
Equal?
I'd say so. I mean, I have had an experience where I've gone in, I said, I'm going to put a condom on. I haven't had a condom, and she said, don't worry, just go in. You see, in my mind, she's given me permission to go there, but at the same time, it's also my responsibility knowing it doesn't matter what she's saying, because it's still my responsibility. If a child comes out at the end of that, that's me, I'm responsible for that.
Do you feel that you are making her pregnant?
Yeah, I am making her pregnant. It is through my act that she's become pregnant. She couldn't get pregnant without me.
But the real issue, of course, is not who's responsible for pregnancy, but who's responsible for the birth of a baby. A woman decides if a man will become a father. All a man can ever do is ask.
There are some parts of society dominated by men, there are some parts of society dominated by women. For example, the women have always had the power to decide childbirth, whether they're going to have a child or not. That's a huge power. I mean, you could almost say it's one of the most powerful things in society. And women have that. Women can decide whether or not a man becomes a father. And fatherhood for me would change my life. Therefore, women have the power to completely change my life on a whim. A man is powerless when it comes to whether or not he's going to have a son or daughter. It's a female power in society. It's throughout history that perhaps it's one of the biggest powers that you can have. And it is a female power.
But feminism, once again, has been there to cover up this fact. It's essential for feminism that men feel equally responsible for making babies, because this excuses women their complete failure to exercise due care in when and with whom they have children. With such control over the process, there are simply no excuses for mothers to have children with men who have not agreed to be fathers. Having sex is not an agreement to fatherhood, and men should not be forced into fatherhood any more than a woman should be forced into motherhood.
It's not fair that women have complete power over whether a man becomes a father. And that's the bottom line. A woman has control over whether a man becomes a father. It's not fair, but it's the way of the world. So what you do is you try and protect the father as much as possible. You try and give him as many rights as possible. But right now, what we seem to be doing is simply punishing a man who doesn't want to become a father, who a woman has made a father. And that doesn't seem right to me, that you punish him. He should be protected, not punished.
If it was a one-night stand, if it was a casual thing, what would go through your mind when you found out that she was pregnant?
Shit. I'd ask her if she was considering an abortion. If she wasn't, I'd ask, so why not? What was she was thinking? Because I wasn't obviously not in love with her, she wasn't in love with me. How are we going to bring up a child in that environment? How's this actually going to work? I'd want to know what the motivations of the mother was. Is it just that she's obsessed with having a child? I mean, not that I can do anything about it anyway, but it sounds incredibly unhealthy. Any woman who wants a child without it being within a relationship has, I think, an unhealthy obsession with having a child regardless of anything else. It may simply be a biological clock ticking down. But that's an animal instinct, and we are human beings, and you control that. And if you can't give a future to this child, especially, and call me old-fashioned, but a future within a relationship, a father and a mother, and I came from a single-parent family, so I'm not knocking that either. It's the way it is nowadays. But if you can't actually plan that, there is a problem there. There's something psychological going on, where you're being incredibly selfish because you're wanting to have a child with no concern as to the child or as to the father, and that's I would consider almost a psychopathic problem.
By bearing unwanted children, she's inflicting damage on absolutely everyone: the child, the father, and even strangers who might one day have to deal with crimes committed by her fatherless, maladjusted child. It's basically an assault on society, and yet society assists her in this crime. If a woman worked in a bank and gave a customer a loan of even £1 without knowing his surname, she'll get the sack for gross negligence. Yet many women get themselves pregnant after a night out in town without knowing the surname of the father.
Joy didn't remember much about the boy's real father, except that he drove a Ford.
Is this for me, Linda?
No, I was just writing what my name would be if I married Raoul.
It just says Linda.
I don't know his last name.
Some go further and continue the pregnancy to birth, to create another fatherless child. And all anyone seems to do in such circumstances is blame the absent father for not taking responsibility. Another deadbeat dad. But what about malignant, irresponsible mums? He may not even know he's a father because she didn't tell him.
I didn't know I had a daughter until a month ago.
How could you not know?
Angela's mother and I went out last year. Okay, it's over, and when it ended, she never told me she was pregnant.
Nothing's ever gonna happen between us again, Nez. It's been 5 years. I mean, you gotta know that.
Things are different now, Frankie. I'm clean.
Nez, I'm really not in the mood for your bullshit. Please, just say what you want to say and get out of here.
And this, Skilla.
She's real cute.
Glad you think so. She's yours.
This is why, when men are asked the question, do you have kids, they can't be too sure of the answer.
No family, right? No. None that I know of.
You have any kids, Doctor?
Not that I know of.
This is the female empowerment, or girl power, that feminism has brought us. Women who are quite happy to get themselves pregnant without a second thought for anybody except themselves. And women are doing this in ever greater numbers.
If you, at the end of making this video, want to go up to Cardiff and see the social services up there, they'll take you. There are acres and acres and acres of council flats, I mean, thousands of just single women with children. That's the future. There's another one in Bristol. They're all over the place. Nobody sees them, nobody knows about it. But largely there are no men on those estates, just single parents and mothers.
And you see that increasing?
Yeah, it is increasing.
Were you surprised that you said don't bother with
Very surprised. In fact, I'll be honest with you, most of the women that I have dealt with lately have been prepared to go raw, and I find that really strange.
Is that to do with the women you're meeting, or is it to do with...
No, it's me, innit? I'm a good candidate for a father. That's all it is. I've got my own job, I've got my own place, I've got my own car. They think I've got a good job. It's a good job, do you know what I mean?
But really, would that be the case? Surely they don't want... A kid is huge. Surely they know what a kid involves.
It is huge, but I'm a good candidate, do you know what I mean? Yeah, I fit most of women's criteria.
I'm sure, I'm totally certain of that, but after one night, they can't possibly be thinking, you make a father.
It's not after one night, really. It's instant. It's on looking. The whole instant physical attraction. There have been lots of studies that say that women can tell straight away.
Okay, that's fair enough. But can they tell on such a conscious basis that they'll lie about taking the pill?
It's hard work.
Yeah, but it has to be conscious because they know they're lying if they say I'm not taking the pill or I am taking the pill. So there's got to be something there. I don't know if women lie about saying they're taking the pill. I'm going to have to ask them.
I know a guy whose girlfriend got herself pregnant by him, but they split up before she told him. She then calls him up to say she's pregnant and she's going to have the baby. What kind of woman wants to have something as life-changing as a baby with a man she didn't even like enough to go out with? Unfortunately, she's not at all unusual. He made the decision to take up his responsibilities in full, despite resistance from the mother. What kind of nobility does the man have in deciding to suck it up and take on fatherhood like this? How many millions of men are doing the same thing, right now? Why do women who have 100% control of their fertility decide to have children with men who don't want to be fathers? This is the crux of the matter, and possibly the single leading cause of fatherlessness. Too many women are having children with obviously unsuitable men, and then blaming the men for being unsuitable, and society follows suit. But it's not meant to be this way. People are biologically programmed to make decent choices of partner material.
Women have no trouble finding someone willing to inseminate them. And given that they have the ability to exercise choice over who it is they're going to have kids with, and when you do that, you expect them to go for either good genes or good parenting ability, or good ability to provide resources.
What forces today are preventing women from making even basic sensible choices in who inseminates them, when even cave women chose more suitable partners? Imagine a young man forced into fatherhood by some woman he had sex with in the back of a car. He may not have finished studying or decided on a career, and yet she decides that he'll be a father. He's not ready, he doesn't want it, he can't afford it, he's not capable of fatherhood, but she makes it happen anyway. She's decided to enslave him and has taken away all his choices, while she enforces hers. Can we honestly be surprised if he wants nothing to do with her?
She's yours. Frankie, you can't walk away from this.
Yeah, watch me.
You have a responsibility.
No, I don't. That's not my kid.
She's yours.
Oh, so you just thought you'd wait 5 years to tell me? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Nance.
Why do we see these fathers as irresponsible, rather than escaping enslavement?
I'm pregnant.
Are you keeping it, or are you having an abortion?
Typical excuses for these women are that she's misguided. She's ignorant, young, foolish, it was an accident. But this isn't about how the situation arises, it's how it ends. In the final analysis, producing a child unwanted by the father is not an accident, and it can't be excused as one. What it is female violence, uniquely female violence at its worst.
I'm pregnant, and you're the father.
I think I'm pregnant. Just kidding.
We're pregnant.
I know when I'm ovulating, and I am not ovulating.
That wasn't a premonition. That was a trick.
Pregnant? Well, that's great. Terrific. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's yours.
And society gives this female violence its full support.
Teenage mums of all ages will soon be offered up to £5,000 worth of childcare grants to help them back into education or training.
I'll get housing benefit and income support.
But surely it's there as a safety net, and you should already have, got to the point where you could afford to have children before you... It's a big decision, having children.
Yeah, fair enough, but all these people are... There's no point sitting here moaning about it now, because kids are always going to have children at a young age. So maybe we need to start supporting them more.
This is the main reason the Child Support Agency was brought into being, to manage and even encourage the disastrous choices that women are making. Now women can rest assured that when their entirely selfish attitude has landed them with a child they can't afford, the state will be there to extract money from whichever man she's chosen to enslave.
My sister had a baby, and I wanted a baby of my own. He didn't know that I was planning to have a baby with him. I told him I was on a pill, so he didn't know nothing about it.
Courtney's plan worked, and soon she was expecting.
Wives do this as a matter of course when they want to have another child, but their husband doesn't. They quietly take themselves off the pill and don't tell him. When a pregnancy happens, they know he won't leave, and so the deal is done.
I'm pregnant.
You sure?
Yeah.
What about your pills?
I might have missed a few, maybe.
Whether you did or you didn't.
I did. Okay? So, I did.
I thought we were going to wait.
You don't always get to choose this kind of
Yeah,
thing,
you
Chris.
do. That's sort of the point. Come on.
Just you, me, and our baby. And you'll be glad I never took the pill, and it'll all be brilliant, and we'll be a family. A real family.
You never took your pill. I do not believe this.
Yeah, but I just wanted to feel safe.
What by getting pregnant?
Choose to take birth control, you can read the label, and come on, we had a plan.
Our plan was to start a family. I can't believe you're not even just a little bit happy about this.
Oh, come on, that's not fair.
Well, this is not some sort of sneak attack.
Right now? You want to start a family right now?
Are you trying to get pregnant?
Yes.
Yeah, see? You don't want my dick.
Yes, I do. I wanted to get pregnant with.
Jesus Christ. Kim, we can't afford another baby.
But we always said we'd have 2 kids. We agreed when we had Lucy that we wouldn't make her be alone.
Yeah, but not now. Do you know how much we have in checking right now? Negative $50. We have to raise $50 to be broke.
I don't care. I'm not waiting. Lucy is 4 already. I'm getting pregnant right now.
And men are expected to just accept the duplicity of their women and do the right thing.
I'm pregnant.
Bullshit.
Man. It was an accident.
Marry me.
You can't be serious.
She's a good person.
You met her like 5 minutes ago.
It's the right thing to do.
If they don't accept her manipulation and they leave, they're deadbeat dads. But men are not irresponsible, and they're not to blame if they abandon a toxic woman who's decided to have a child without their consent.
You're the one who walked out on Joey.
I never walked out on him. I walked out on you.
We've never been together since she was 2 weeks old, when we split up.
When Lena was born, I already predicted that she'd be left on her own with that baby. Because it does happen. A lot.
Hollywood would have it that a woman's lies and deception can have a happy ending.
We just need to...
We
get used to
are
this.
now all 3 of us. I really need you to start thinking that way.
I'll do whatever it takes to make you happy. That is all I have ever wanted.
But the truth is that these selfish women break up families. Trust has been broken. Enslavement has occurred. There's almost never a happy ending to such treatment of men by women. Government would have it that the creation of the CSA and their other policies towards the family are just necessary measures in their efforts to manage legions of single mothers and children abandoned by uncaring fathers. But nowhere in the 2004 Children's Act, for example, is the presence and value of a father even mentioned. The government pretends that they're not purposefully creating and accelerating the blight of fatherlessness for their own ends.
The Child Support Act in reality did very little for women and did very little for children. It just saved the state money. It was a state support act rather than a child support act. Instead of the woman getting welfare benefits, she'll get the money will come indirectly via the husband.
The simple fact is that where children are conceived with the father's consent, the father will stay with the mother and raise the child in virtually all cases. But where the woman is selfish, where she lies or is unfaithful, then the man indeed doesn't want anything to do with her. Women are far more responsible for these broken families than men could ever be, simply because they have full control of the child-making process. So why are women's options for controlling fertility so much more numerous and effective than men's? Why is there no male pill? It's been 50 years since men gave women their pill. Why are men still waiting for theirs? The reason is not medical complexity, although finding a way to control male fertility is definitely more difficult. The reason is political and financial. Having one sex in control of reproduction, when it's technologically possible for both sexes to control it, is massive discrimination. Could you imagine what women would say if it was men that had entire control of fertility? The principal argument against any real push to develop a male pill is that women have their pill, and that's enough, and constitutes effective birth control. But it obviously isn't enough, and the legions of single mothers shows this quite clearly. A woman says that she's on the pill. Can you trust that?
Do you know what? That is such a... It happened to me last night. Yeah. This isn't going to go any further, is it?
No, it's just
Maybe Channel 4.
I was getting busy with a very gorgeous Slovakian girl, and I was getting ready to put, the rubber on, and she says, I'm on the pill. I was like, yeah, you probably are, but, yeah. And she's like, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, because you can't trust a woman who says she's on the pill.
Why not?
I'm not saying that those judgments I made is going to make my decision. It's helping me make a decision whether she is or she isn't.
Being on the pill?
Women lie. Women do lie. I've figured that out.
I've heard that.
They do.
You can't just say women lie and leave it at that. What lies have you been told that make you think, well, you can't trust women? Because you just said women. You're not saying
they're capable of lying.
The odd woman I've met in my life lies.
Remember that Chris Rock routine?
What?
They ain't that tall, they wear high heels, their lips aren't that red, your hair isn't like that. One walking lie.
Are you saying that women are walking lies? Is that what you're saying?
You said that, didn't you? You said that, didn't you?
I'm saying that deception is kind of part and parcel of being a woman.
I'm saying that women are capable of lying, that's what I'm saying.
Women have proven themselves to be absolutely useless at birth control. They don't take the pill properly, they don't understand how it works, they can't even remember to take a pill every day.
Providing she can remember what day it is, a woman can be quite sure whether or not she has taken today's pill.
So you're currently on the pill, right?
Yes, will you please just drop it?
Okay. Because you know you got to take it at the same time every day. Right.
I've got a friend who this woman was really into him, and she could tell that he wasn't so into her, and she was like crying, you know, the usual neurotic, obsessed kind of style. And then she phoned him one day and said, "I'm pregnant." And he said, "But you're taking the pill." And she said, "Well, I forgot. This is absurd." She says, "Yeah, I forgot, and I took 2 the following month or the following week," which is absurd. Even I'm a guy, and I know you don't take pill when it doubles up. And I think that's interesting, because that's kind of lying about saying you're taking the pill just in order to... He believes so, but I'm still very doubtful.
But one of the main arguments raised is that men would be unreliable.
A study by Edinburgh University suggested women would trust a man if he said he was taking contraception, and 65% thought the responsibility for contraception falls too much on women.
Why should just one person be in charge of it? You know, we share the cooking, we share the cleaning up, we can share the contraception.
Women go through a lot, don't they? They have everything, contraception, everything is women. So I mean, for men for a change, that'd be a good idea.
I wouldn't trust a guy if he said that he was on it, to be honest.
Whenever I've seen programmes talking about the research and how soon it will be, all they talk about is, can a man be trusted to take it? And you hear men saying, "Oh, I don't want to take that kind of thing because it might not work and it might stop me having to..." The focus seems to be entirely missing the entire point.
I know. But that's the feminist dominated media.
If men were in full control of reproduction and handled it the way women do today, there'd be comprehensive legislation punishing men for their criminal irresponsibility. Forcing a woman to be a parent against her will would be a crime, probably classed as domestic violence, and men would undoubtedly face arrest and imprisonment for the offence. But when men are forced into fatherhood, society says and does nothing.
What I see for coming to me for contraceptive advice is exclusively women. They have to undergo taking drugs or having horrible coils and things put in them, or implants under the skin. I think they've had a bad deal from the medical profession regarding that. Men seem to come better with that from that point of view.
There is a very strong underlying idea that women should suffer more, and I use the word advisedly, in the service of preventing pregnancy than men.
Controlling fertility is not a burden. It's not suffering, and it's not by any measure a punishment. Rather, it's the key to absolute freedom and control of one's destiny. Freedom and control that only women have enjoyed for the last 50 years. The male pill would give men reproductive parity with women for the first time in history. It would be a sea change in humanity.
So let's say if there was a male pill, would you take it?
It's funny you say that, because I would now, yes. And the reason why I was against it before is because I was in a relationship, and I was like, well, no one's going to take it, that'd be silly. But yes, I would now, yeah. Definitely.
Why would you take it now? What's different now?
Because one, I don't like using rubbers, yeah, and two, it's just that satisfaction that, you know, all your sperm, whatever it is that creates the babies, is not going to be shooted up into a woman, is it?
So the main thing is to avoid pregnancy. Is it a trust issue between you and women, or is it an issue of you just don't want a pregnancy to happen?
It's a bit of both, isn't it? Definitely a bit of both. But I suppose ultimately I don't want the pregnancy. So yeah, I would take it. That'd be quite a cool thing now.
How about you?
Yeah, no, I definitely would. I mean, God, I've caused 2 abortions in my lifetime. I don't really want to cause any more. And I don't wear condoms. I'm really crap with wearing condoms. I'm not good at it, so I definitely would.
Men will go nuts for a male pill. They'll treat it like holy water. They'll possibly pray to it every night. They'd no more forget to take it than they'd forget to breathe. It's the passport to a sex life without risk of unwanted fatherhood. It would be the holy grail for every man. So if a male pill was available, you would take it?
Absolutely.
Do you think that most men would take it?
I think so, because it's about freedom. It's the same reason that women take the pill. It frees you from the other party. You don't have to rely on a woman taking the pill. You don't have to, you know, you are in control. And there will never be an unwanted pregnancy. Well, if both of you have the ability to take a pill, then I cannot see how unwanted pregnancies could possibly happen.
No man could be duped into fatherhood. No man could be controlled and used. No man could be enslaved. Every child that's born would be a wanted child by both parents, not just the mother. Boris Becker had sex with a random woman in a restaurant cupboard. Sometime later, he's reported to have received the following facts from the woman. Becker has since had to give her millions of pounds in child support. What kind of woman is this that would have a child in this way? More to the point, is she even that unusual? And what kind of legal system is it that supports and encourages women like this?
Now, we've already calculated that on your salary you can expect to pay about £320 a month.
Oh, come on. In no other area is a swindler rewarded with a monthly cash settlement.
It's like someone's stolen my TV and they expect me to pay for the licence.
Journalist Amy Alkin terms this casual sex into cash flow sex, and millions of women are doing it. And you don't have to be Boris Becker to be vulnerable. If you earn $20,000, that can be enough for some of these women.
Thinks we can't afford another baby.
Oh, Christ. Well, there's your problem right there, he's thinking. You gotta get beyond his mind and get all his blood flowing down to his little fatty down there. And then he will forget everything. You gotta seduce the bastard. And you can't let him make the choice. It's up to you.
We can't afford it.
Stop thinking about money. The only thing you should be thinking about is all this ass.
We can't afford it!
A male pill would mean that men would have no more fear and worry about fatherhood when they're not ready for it. There'd be no more concern about wives deciding to have children without discussion with the husband. There'd be no more Boris Becker cupboard children and the like, born to women turning casual sex into cash flow sex. There'd be no more one-night stand children born to women who think they're doing the right thing by having a child by one of the 3 men she had sex with that week. The male pill would be a building block for strong families again in an age where women had destroyed the meaning of family and who now seek surrogate fathers and husbands through the state. The legal profession would take a huge blow as lucrative divorce and child custody work would disappear overnight. Men would be able to choose the wives and partners they want to be with instead of being chosen without their consent. Without a doubt, the male pill would be the greatest liberator of men and the most positive boost for families in the whole of history. And that's why it may never happen. The very last thing that government, businesses and women want, could ever want, is for men to control childbirth. It would mean disaster for government's control of men and disaster for business revenues, for the simple reason that broken families spend a lot more than those that are intact, and so are worth a lot more to a vast array of agencies. Direct beneficiaries of broken families are too numerous to ever fully catalogue, but they can collectively be described as the abuse industry. The birth rate would reduce hugely because most children today are born without the consent of the man. House prices would come down, taxes would lower, government power would reduce, crime would fall, and world peace may well break out. What do you think the impact of the male pill will be when that's functional and licensed and it's there? Have you thought about that and its impact?
I think every man thinks about that, don't they? The idea that they will have total control of their fertility and not have to risk having pregnancies with... Most men, if there is an effective means of contraception for most men, which doesn't involve putting something on top of their penis, they will jump at it. They will jump at it. This will free them in a way that they've never been free before. Never been free before. Absolutely. I can't wait for it myself, even though I'm 53. And I'm absolutely certain it'll be wonderful. Men will be in charge for the first time with regard to... Yes. Men must campaign for an effective male pill, and more importantly, acquire funds to support research into one. The only research currently being undertaken is into a hormone-based pill, which has significant side effects and involves men developing female traits and reduced long-term fertility. Clearly, this is not a promising avenue to pursue. The key question is where the money is going to come from to develop a male pill.
It's been suggested pharmaceutical companies are reluctant to start making a male contraceptive because it simply wouldn't be a money spinner for them. If it does become available, the final challenge will be persuading men to actually use it.
The pharmaceutical companies would make money from it, but this doesn't compare with what they make from having more people in the world. The reduced birth rate that would result from men finally having some control over their destiny would be counterproductive for these companies. There may well come a time that government and business do allow a genuine and effective male pill to be produced, but this will not happen until society's attitudes and laws have changed sufficiently to allow the free use by women of donated or otherwise harvested sperm.
Oh, the National Sperm Bank have had another run on my seed.
They want another deposit.
When women truly don't need men to have children, men will get a male pill. And it will be done like this in the name of women's rights to have children in any way they choose, and society's final acceptance that fathers really don't matter.
Give your mother a wedding.
If Arizona wanted to spend the rest of her life with me, yeah, I'll put on a big white dress and dance down the aisle.
How about grandkids?
Yes, I would imagine when the time came, there would be kids.
Fathers are quite literally being phased out. We're halfway there already. Once we go the full way, this is not a society that any of us are going to want to live in. It doesn't happen that a man wants to have a child and then splits. It may happen that he didn't want it, she forced it on him, he adjusted for a while, and then he splits. But that's not the same thing. I'd be hugely interested in statistics to show just how many families are together with kids when both parents wanted a child from before conception. I'd expect the percentage to be very high indeed. I would also love to know how many children that are born were planned by the father and how many were forced on him. We can't get this information because no man wants to say this out loud, especially with existing children, and no man wants to admit what sort of creature his wife is. Unfortunately, the man's role in parenting is frequently reduced to financial obligation. But it's important to realise that men want to be fathers when they choose to be fathers, not when a woman decides for them.
As the kid, you know, as just started getting more and more aware, and you know, and he recognises me now, and he'll put his hands out to greet me and stuff. It melts your heart every time, man, and that's just brilliant. I think it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. I really do, and I would recommend it. It's just difficult to explain, really, and until you've experienced it. But I love it. I really do. I love it. I love being a dad.
Men want to choose when they make their huge and valuable investment in their children's lives. It's precisely because fatherhood is such a huge investment emotionally and financially that he'll walk away rather than invest in the wrong woman and child. Men do not want to be enslaved parents, and they will resist this enslavement